Go ahead. We back again with another human podcast with my OG, triple OG, my main man, somebody I love to death.
Absolutely.
Future Dr. Ray.
Yeah.
You know? So how you doing, man?
Yeah, I can't complain. Can't complain.
How was it to see me?
Oh man, you already know it's beautiful to see you, man. Especially after all the new news you shared with me.
Oh yeah? What's the new news?
Oh man, I can put it out there.
Yeah, you can put it out.
Oh man, it's a boy, baby. Goddamn,
Yeah,
you
it's a
already
boy.
know.
You know, having a
Got a young
so,
king.
you know, we grinding harder. So let me ask you how it felt when you had a boy, or when you figured out you was having one.
I'm gonna tell you, man. For real, it was the greatest thing that I ever experienced, man. It was like, especially my first child being a boy. It was a relief because one, I know that I wanted my son to be named after me. One of the biggest things is I always wanted to be named after my father. So to be able to have a son where I can name him after me was super important.
Yeah.
So that was one of the highest things for me that I could ever gotten was a son because I adored my father so much.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. So how did you digest it?
You know, initially it was kind of it's always like I say, excitement. But then there's realities that start to set in. It's like I got a boy, so at the time I had a pit bull.
Yeah. Oh God.
So exactly. And so that same thing is kind of the sentiment when people talk about black men.
Yeah.
So one of the things was I know that I had to, in the same way that I had to prepare my dog before I had a child, to be able to be in a world where people already expected him to be aggressive. I know that I had to prepare my son for the perception that are going to be put on him just because he's a black man.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second portion that happens. So then you start trying to figure out what instincts do you want to home in when you see how your son develops. What instincts do you want to home in on, and which ones do you? Yeah, just in general home in on. So that's the big thing. It becomes like 2K. It's like building a character.
Yeah.
You know, trying to figure out which attributes you want to focus at what time. I guess is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So that's all. It's like I said, it's a responsibility because you want your son to be a representation of the best parts of you that you have to offer the world.
Yeah.
The untainted version of who you are and all your understandings coming to like the culmination. You know, so now that I'm older, especially I had my son when I was 30.
Yeah.
So by that time I had so much game and understanding. It's like now I can't wait to put it into this young person and then like watch it blossom up into this thing.
Yeah.
But that's the part about it that becomes difficult is that children get to a certain age and then the outside influences start to kick in.
Yeah.
So you just pray that your instincts and values that you put into your child become more relevant and that your child looks up to you more than they look up to what's going on in the streets.
Yeah. So let me ask, how what's the technique you use to make sure your son looks up to you more, or your kids look up to you more than they do the outside influence?
Consistency. Like you have to be there. You have to be present in their lives. One, just in physicality, but then you also have to be present with the child in an active way. So being engaged, helping with homework, taking them out, playing sports, seeing what their interests are, and focusing in on those. Sometimes, I guess for me, one of the hardest difficulties is, do I push them in things that they don't like in order to help make them better, or do I see what they do like and push them in that and focus my energy into that versus knowing that this thing can offer this trait that's good, but then they might hate the fact that I'm pushing them in it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you know, like for example, the son, you might want your child to play football, and sometimes people will get caught up in trying to live through their children, but then there's sometimes where you see that football can produce certain traits in the child that are necessary for me, that are not necessary, but that are traits that you valuable that you can't really get in any other place besides certain sports.
Yeah.
So for me, but then you might see your child don't like it. So I believe in introducing them, but then if they don't like it, I am a parent who will back off of it if it's not really heavy in my value system.
Yeah.
Now education is something different.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely, I'm full
That's a
throttle.
have to.
That's a have to.
Yeah.
Things that my children, like, my son and my daughter both have to play an instrument, a sport, and perform academically. You know, those like are must, and they can stop once they get out of my house. But while they're in my house, these are things that you're gonna stay active in doing, just because there's just so many different lessons to be learned that as a behavior specialist, you understand that that's what's missing in a lot of children nowadays. So.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great way to like segue into you telling them actually what you do for a living.
I guess I've been a behavior specialist practicing in the school system and in the community for approximately 20 years.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Started off in the school system in Alabama, initially training. Then after I graduated, I went to North Carolina, where I practiced in North Carolina. I'm in Gastonia, as well as Charlotte. Then after I moved from Charlotte, I came to Richmond, where I practiced in Richmond and now Chesterfield County.
Yeah.
So in my whole time, even though I'm a social worker, like I said, my focus has been behavior, and I've always been tied to the school system.
Yeah.
So that's where. So to this day, now that I'm no longer in the social field and I work for the school system, it's the same thing, same game, just a different. It's the same playing field. So I just play. You know what I'm saying? It's really the same game. It's a unique experience that I was able to switch from doing what I did as a partner of the school system to now doing it for the school system.
Okay, man. I'm gonna jump back into the son thing for a quick second. What do you think your dad put into you to make you value him so much that you can transfer to the students that you're trying to coach?
He taught to me. That's the biggest thing. My dad always gave me game and wisdom.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, I respected how he carried himself. I've always, like, I guess I say smaller stature man. My father was one as well. So I'm 5'7", my dad was about 5'6".
Yeah.
But I've always watched the level of respect that my dad gained and had at every single level, at every single place we've ever been. So that in itself, like as I got older and started, like, I remember hearing like, "Oh, nigga, you short," but like it never really crossed my mind that it should be a problem for me. It was always more of a problem for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So as I began to get older, I started appreciating those standards that I was exposed to. Because a lot of times, one of the biggest things that you learn dealing with children is, or I remember when I think about myself as a child, I don't always remember every lesson, but I remember the fact that somebody took the time, and I remember how that person carried themselves. So I remember that now as an older person about the people who were my mentors, then so I need to make sure that those characteristics are something that I focus in on for the children who I'm going to try to make impact with. So that's one of the biggest things so I hope that answers the question. I'm not sure, but
it did. It definitely did. Hey, I'm gonna ask you one time. Could you turn that on?
Yeah. My bad.
You good, man. I turned it on. That jump still right? Okay, yeah, you gotta watch that jump.
You can't even see this right here.
Yeah, but back to the kids, man. Like, okay, you just told me what your father put into you that you could transfer it to the kids. But again, in your field, I want to ask you, what is wrong with the kids of our generation, if you was to say anything is wrong with this generation?
You can't blame.
Let me stop you. First, 90s babies, because you've been through 2 waves of generations. What was the problem with 90s babies that you could clearly see?
The thing is, it's all the same thing.
Okay.
There's no difference.
Yeah. They are though.
You know what I'm saying? The thing is, a lot of lost children are lost children, regardless of why they're lost or not. You know,
Yeah.
I don't have the opportunity to really be able to just focus on why they're lost. I have to see them. I have to have enough intellectual knowledge to be able to help them when I understand how they're lost.
Oh, she listening.
Yeah, she's straight listening.
No, how they doing? Start watching us.
So yeah, so
Leave us alone, Mark Zuckerberg. Nah. Go ahead.
So but for real, you have to learn how. Like for my job, I have to be agile enough mentally and spiritually to be able to receive all the issues that are going to be presented to me. Yeah. Most of the children, the biggest thing that happens is the biggest common denominator with all my children that I say about 90-some% of the children I work with is single parenthood. So I can't say for a fact that single parenthood is the issue, but I can say that it is the strongest common denominator in all of it. And so for me, even when I was growing up as an 80s baby, that was one of my biggest reasons. Again, you talk about my father's influence. That was my biggest.
He was just there.
He was there, and most of my friends' fathers weren't there. So the fact that I had my father in my life, it showed me that there was a certain amount of privilege I was given. Mm-hmm. And so because I was given that privilege, it made me want to, it kind of I guess reinforced my importance and the importance of being able to have male influence over a population. Yeah. So then it became, like I say, then I started recognizing that I had my own walk to deal with, and there were so many different spiritual obligations that became part of that process. So
what do you mean by spiritual obligation?
Meaning like sometimes you want to stop things and then you get condemned and conflicted.
By self?
By self or from whatever reason. And so for me,
is in like sometimes you want to say like, fuck helping people.
Yeah, fuck people. Shit, fuck it. I'm tired. I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, I said I just ain't got it. You know what I'm saying? And you realize that the thing is, like we just discussed before, young brother. Sometimes you realize that helping people can be one of the baddest investments that you can have when you invest in people. Mm-hmm. And when you work with people for a living, you realize that if I have to help 1,000, I'm hopeful that 10 of them become what society considers successful. Yeah. You know, for me,
that's a terrible investment.
So the thing is with your energy, and so then sometimes you keep putting in. So then the thing is, most people who are in the field are there because, again, this is who you are in your spirit. So that spirit doesn't turn off at work. So then you're that same person at home with your family and your siblings and everybody else. And so then you look around and you're still putting out energy and putting out money and stuff, and it's still not a lot of return. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So then you're like, hold on, I'm giving out energy here, money there, and nobody's fixing themselves. The problem's not getting fixed. Yeah. You see, so that's how then you start getting what is called empathy fatigue. Yeah. And so
that's some real shit. I like that term.
So that's what, or burnout. And so that's the thing, you have to always make sure that you protect yourself from burnout. And the way you do that is by also investing in yourself as much as you invest into others. Yeah. So invest into your rest, invest into your recovery, invest into your like physical health by working out, take trips, do all kinds of different things to, like I said, just stimulate your life and don't get into a cycle of just being a helper. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Help yourself invest into yourself as well. So that's one of my biggest things that I do to try to be able to keep and continue to fight this fight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it sounds like it's definitely much needed because that's a hell of a shit to do. And I always uplift you for choosing that career path and just being that type of person and embracing it.
like, and that's back to the point. It's like sometimes the career path chose me. I've always been invested into people. Like I said, and that's the thing. When you know the game and you've been doing it so long, like I said, I was a social worker or what people consider a counselor before I stepped into the field.
Yeah.
And that was my blessing, was to have a parent who's a counselor.
Yeah.
So it taught me how to put all this energy that who I am into something versus just being a hood, you know what I'm saying?
The hood counselor.
The hood counselor,
therapist.
hood therapist, and just sitting around spitting game, which, I do that too. It just depends on the circumstance.
Yeah, thank you for spitting game on it, John. The human pocket.
Oh yeah, always. That's what we do, man. But like I say, anytime, like say, you want to build on any subjects, this has been a little bit more reflection onto me, but anytime, anything you want to build on, we can always build.
Oh yeah, we gonna get into the bullshit.
So
I've been having to make time for the bullshit. Yeah, I get a little real shit, but we gotta talk about that shit, man.
Yeah,
but yeah, lastly on them kids, man, you say this shit all the same. Like, and as you do look around, you see life going back in circles. Like we talked about it a minute ago, where like, okay, 70s people sample 60s people, then 80s people sample 70s people, then 90s people sample 80s people, and it all is really listening to the same shit. So saying like, we all redoing what our parents used to do. So in you being in that field and seeing that everything is kind of like cycling itself, do you feel there ever be a fix for humanity itself?
I think there could be if. I don't think there's. Well, let me say that's a very strong question. I think that it could be done better than it's being done. Let's say that.
Yeah.
I think.
That's right. That's right.
I think the influences that are influencing us for anything positive. I don't have a lot of strong images of, and I guess, I have a lot of conservative values. So I guess there's some things that progressive people would disagree with me on certain topics when it comes to the movement of some of our children. But there's not a lot of role models for me that are wholesome to point my children toward. There are a lot of hustlers that I could respect for the hustle, but we're losing the ability to encourage our children to be regular people. And the regular person is no longer desirable. And that's sad because most of our children are just going to be regular people.
Yeah, and nothing's wrong with being a regular person.
Nothing's wrong with being a regular person.
That's why I named this the Human Podcast, because no matter what the hell you got, you're human.
So that's what a lot of our babies are missing, because everybody wants to be so extraordinary that they don't understand that you can be extraordinary from another perspective. And focus up here when sometimes you can start right here and get up there if you just build.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they're not into building anymore. They're just arriving, you know what I'm saying? I made it, you know what I'm saying? Like, but they ain't building.
That microwave shit.
So like I say, that's my job, is to remind them to build in the process of trying to arrive. There's nothing wrong with trying to have lofty dreams, but make sure you have practical ways of feeding yourself on your way to that dream. You can't forget about reality just because you are dreaming.
I want y'all to hear that, because that's a real game. That's a real game right there. Niggas say, when you was, you told me something like that, and I started seeing, like, a lot of motherfuckers be like, I'ma blow up doing this, or I ain't gonna be shit. Like, god damn, you missed everything.
You missed everything.
Like, nigga, you could be doing this.
There's so many things that all these young people are capable of, but for me, that's why I love my position, is because if don't nobody else in that child's life tell them that, I know that I'm gonna be the one person that's gonna tell them that.
Yeah.
Because I take pride in being that person. But we need more people to take pride. We need more people to get themselves credentialed enough to be able to take pride in making a difference in our children's lives. I found the portal to all of our children, which is to get to the school system. We complain about it, but if you ain't got your ass in there, then how you gonna complain about it? So I'm in there trying to be what the children love about school. And so the kids say that they hate school, they still gonna say they love Mr. Ragland.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. You have to always like try to put something in your life that you're gonna take that much pride in, that you do it to the point where you don't care about anything except for making a difference for the children or for whatever audience is in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, love it that much. You know what I'm saying? So in a way, I'm a slave to my love for children, for people.
Yeah.
But children is where I know you can make the most affect, the most change, and impact. So
we gonna end off with this one for our people. So you say, as you say, you can make the most impact with children, as far as raising them into be productive citizens.
yeah.
What do you say about what you once called extended adolescence and people being grown as hell and still wanting to be treated like a child?
Like I say, it's I guess it's kind of a phenomenon that happens, especially. Well, I can't say especially. I speak toward what's happening with a lot of my young men in my community.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of young men are not growing up early enough, and that's what I was talking about earlier. Like when you become an adult, the first things you got to learn to do is provide yourself with food, shelter, and clothing. So that means you're going to have to get yourself a skill or some sort of something so that you can start to do that for yourself. The different tracks that exist already, whether that's getting a trade, going to school, going to the military, are the three basic tracks that everybody knows. You know, they all have a time limit that it's going to take before you can get to your ability to make the money from it. So with a trade, most trades you can start making money while you're working in your trade. The thing about that most people don't realize, that's where one of the biggest sections of your entrepreneurs are going to come from, or should come from, is your tradesmen, because they are their business.
Mm-hmm.
So if I cut hair, if I weld, if I carpentry, whatever, I can come and open up my own business, and I am the business already.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I go to school for certain things, I'm still gonna have to come up with a lofty idea for me to sell to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Versus I'm just the business. So going to school, you're gonna take at least 4 years to get out and be able to get to your money, and then you're still gonna have to climb a ladder, unless you go back to school. You see what I'm saying? So like I said, in the military, you know, you're gonna come straight out, and you're gonna get to a little bit of money, you know, but you're not gonna have as many bills. So again, it's how do you want to play the game? So we know those tracks exist. A lot of our young black men aren't taking any of those tracks. A lot of them are getting into wanting to take the tracks that are not as guaranteed. They're more of dreams, which are beautiful in concept. So a lot of them want to be a lot of athletes, as we know. A lot of them want to be a lot of rappers and do music, which all those are beautiful dreams and goals. But if you don't give yourself a skill in the meantime, that's when that becomes dangerous. So when you're 18 trying to do it, when you're in high school trying to do it, that's beautiful. You don't really have a lot of obligation. Then you get then after you graduate, there's a time where you're supposed to start contributing back to your house, or go out and make a house of your own. But a lot of our young men don't contribute to the house. They look to more find situations where they can live off of. And that the older you get, a lot of these young men don't ever break that cycle until they're in their 30s. A lot of young men don't break it. Some never break it. Some do mature out of it, and that's the beautiful thing. But it has to be exposed to people on that same, who are on a journey to better themselves, or who are better themselves already. So, but you know, it's sad because there's a lot of young people, because a lot of these people who are dealing with this extended adolescence are having children in the meantime. So, you're having children who are being raised by absenteeism and by immature parents during this process. And so they're teaching their children a lot of immature traits. They're putting abandonment issues on their children. There's so many things that are involved in some of that decision to be immature into your late 20s, because you're still doing mature things in the process of being immature.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, beautiful way to put it. Beautiful way. Beautiful. I'm gonna jump off into some what they call it? Some recent events.
Okay.
You know, and we'll see where we go from there. What I really want to ask you is, what you think about Coach Prime leaving JSU?
It's a very complicated thing for me, because I revere what Coach Prime just did for HBCU, not just his football program. Coach Prime made HBCU a conversation again. He was more of a movement than he was just a coach in HBCU. I hope that his impact continues to be great when he goes to Colorado. However, the game is already, it's a big game. I hope like I said, I just hope his impact can continue to be that great at that level. Because what he gave up, it may not have been a financially fruitful endeavor for him. And even, I know he has dreams to be a coach at a certain level as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I get those things, but I haven't seen this much interest into HBCU in so long to see that all that energy that was generated kind of dissipate. Like I said, I hope that his personal endeavor is really going to pan out in a way that makes him happy.
Yeah.
Because like I said, he just was so, what he did was just so big. And so I'll forever be grateful to him, because again, he made it even cool for my children to like HBCUs now.
Yeah.
So my children definitely going to HBCUs unless they get a scholarship to somewhere bigger. But that's the thing, man, about life, man, and being African American. Like, that's part of what's wrong with our communities, is that our greatest and our best and our brightest always move away. And those areas that they moved away from, where they could have been bright at, because there's not resources there, it makes it hard for you to want to stay there, right?
Mm-hmm. Man, you saw the dude got shot in the parking lot, or they found somebody dead in the parking lot. Y'all saw that?
Yeah, right.
At JSU. He didn't get a lot of attention, of course.
He didn't, definitely got overshadowed by Prime.
Man, you ain't see that?
No, I definitely hadn't heard anything about it, hadn't paid attention to it. But let's get back to the point. The point, though, is, like I said, our best and brightest always move up to become part of a bigger machine that usually doesn't even really incorporate us. You know what I'm saying? So we all go up, some as tokens, some as just fillers. You know, hopefully he can be a impact. I know he has the capacity to be an impact person at that level. I don't know if the situation he's going into is going to allow him to do that immediately. Now, the fact that they have the trade portal and all those things, those are important. But again, now HBCUs are like where he could have, I could see him rising to the level of almost like the Vince McMahon of HBCU, or whatever that would be. You know what I'm saying? Whoever the head person. And being able to bring HBCUs up to, because the thing, like Grambling used to send the most players to the league back in the day. So reestablishing that level of greatness is what he's capable of doing, right? So now, when you talk about HBCUs, you have to talk about HBCUs with a certain level of respect. And so, if we could have got him and then continue to build off that, you see what I'm saying? Then pretty soon we'd have made the NCAA something that they might have been nervous about what we were doing at HBCU. You see what I'm saying? So right now the money's little, but like that's kind of how it was with Jordan and Bird them. You see what I'm saying? Jordan and Bird them didn't make no money. I mean, not Jordan and Bird, but Magic Johnson and Bird them didn't make no money. Jordan came, he started bringing the money to the game because he started getting all these endorsements and all this stuff. You see what I'm saying? So the salary started going up year after the year after the year. So Deion could potentially have done that for HBCUs, been that person to break the barrier to now you got to start paying more for this level of coaching, this level of this and this level of that. Now, there's funding issues and all that, so I'm sure it gets deeper than that, so don't let me get twisted, but the concept is the point. And so he could, I wish he could have just continued to build off of what he did. In the reason why we even having this conversation. Like this would never been a conversation 3 years ago. We wouldn't be sitting up here talking about nobody in HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? I said I represent my Alabama A&M, just for y'all out there. I represent mine all the time, but like, man, you ain't never even talked about HBCUs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
Probably, you know what I'm saying? But
as many times we talk.
You see what I'm saying? I don't know how many years?
Damn man, like 10 at least.
Damn, 10 years, right?
Yeah,
So that's my point. But we don't talk about it because Deion.
Yeah.
That's a hell of an impact.
Yeah.
So that's what HBCUs are going to miss a little bit now. HBCUs have always existed. They've always, we have our things that are about us that are great. But again, there's a certain light that's being shed on us that I pray is able to continue. But who we gonna talk about?
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but shit, he might inspire somebody that always wanted his spot. You know, somebody probably thinking shit. You know, it's always somebody that wants your spot.
there's somebody want a spot, but everybody can't. Everybody don't have.
His skill set.
You see what I'm saying? It was again. He came in as a movement. That was something different. We ain't seen too many places where somebody's come in just taking on something like that by storm. So now we all watching to see what they talking about. What they doing? Just niggas going out and buying jerseys and stuff like that. Nigga ain't never buy no HBCU jersey just for the sake of it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So all that's changed. He changed a lot of things about the culture, man. And I said much hats off to the brother, but I just like I say I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him, but yeah, it's super bittersweet, bro. I guess I said all that to say that it's bittersweet.
It's definitely bittersweet.
You know what I'm saying? So I celebrate for you, Prime, but that just hurt low key, bro.
Yeah, same shit. Man, did you see the admin at Colorado State said they more than likely definitely don't have the money to pay Deion, but they figure he will help them make it.
Yeah.
That made the news like I don't even get it then.
Yeah, he's just
how bad of the but again that's why I brought up the situation where the body got found.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's like after some shit like that happened, it's like
HBCUs, man, we have our problem, bro.
Yeah.
Again, that's the whole point. You bring somebody in to change the culture, change the standard. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he had to go through one of their first 2 games, they got the office broke into while they was out there on the field. Somebody broke into their office.
For real?
Yeah, stole all their stuff.
Damn.
You know, so, you know.
What though?
So, you know, they're going through the, you know, regular old hood stuff in this.
Yeah.
You know, so then you know what happened at the, in Jackson, they cut off the water, or something happened with the water or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So just imagine, you know what I'm saying?
You trying to bring your family.
You trying to bring your family. It's all kinds of things that, you know,
she's
that
like,
you want to move on.
I want to leave.
Right.
You got me in Jackson, Mississippi.
So it's rough, man.
You Deion Sanders. And you chose Jackson, Mississippi. That's probably what his wife thinking.
So he went out to Colorado, you know what I'm saying?
But I said that ain't no better. It's
yeah,
cold as hell,
man.
man.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll never go to the snow. True.
You know, only he can convince all the Florida boys to go up to Colorado, man.
Yeah. It's cold as hell. I heard your nose started bleeding in certain areas of Colorado because of the elevation. Good God.
I don't even.
Yeah.
I don't want no parts of Colorado. I did say that used to be one of it is on my bucket list.
I want to go to Aspen.
So you know what I'm saying, that is on my bucket list. But to play football, I'm straight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's already too cold in this room right here right now, so I don't even need no more than this.
Yeah.
So
Southern boys.
So yeah, man.
I need that heat, my boy.
Yeah.
That shit, but current events. What you think about Kyrie just officially split with Nike?
I mean, you know, like I say, man, it's to be expected. You know, it's everybody's gonna cut and run when it comes to money and protect their brand. So Nike trying to protect their brand, because whoever's over the top of them don't like Kyrie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man.
I think Phil Knight actually condemned them allegedly.
So I don't, you know, I don't have too much. It's like I don't, you know, seeing what I've seen over the years, what's going on with the media. I'm not shocked that Kyrie's going through what he's going through. Not shocked that Kanye is going through what he's going through. It's been they're just what you understand that there are just certain forces that when you speak against them that you just don't have to be ready to deal with whatever repercussion comes with whatever you say. So
yeah, like when he's what's his name? When Red spoke on Debo having his chain, or his bike. What he said? What bike punk? Knocked his ass out. Nah, that was his grandma chain. No tripping.
But
his bike too. There he got his bike chain. And I'm just gonna tuck mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tuck mine.
Cracking do that.
Yeah, shit. Put this shit right under the jump. But yeah, you gotta know, man. You speak on certain motherfuckers, you gotta be ready.
Yeah.
Like my brother telling Tyson he'll beat his ass. I ain't gonna show his face, Tyson. I don't want that for him.
So you don't want none of that smoke.
Wow. 8 punches. But nah, man. So speaking on Kyrie, man, in the media, how you feel about the media nowadays versus when y'all was coming up?
Again, all that, everything, man. Things ain't but so much different, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the media now is more of it now. Is the one thing that's the difference. Is we got more stations with 24-hour news coverage and stuff like that, man. And so you got more stuff and more drama that has to fill the headlines in order to keep them relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So there's gonna be a search and a dig for bullshit. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And everything is something. So when it comes to the situation with Kyrie, though, man, like I say, people been getting peeled in the media for talking about Jewish people since the earliest one I know about was Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
So, like I said, so I've been watching people get peeled in the media for making comments. And so, like I say, man, the big thing is, play the game how you want to. You know what I'm saying? You can be militant, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I'm saying, you can understand the game. So, it depends on who you want to be. Kyrie, I respected him, like I say, him, Kanye, I respect they took their stance, you know what I'm saying? They tried to take a stance and stuff like that.
They said they tried to take a stance.
You know what I'm saying? Them punches from Debo hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's see, you know, it's rough, man. So the thing is, you gotta protect your interest in this world, man.
Yeah.
And some, again, like the streets and the business world ain't as different as people think. There's certain blocks you just ain't gonna walk down in the business world too.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
So
Yeah, I need to hear that one.
that's just like I said, man, there's just so much, man, that to navigate, man. But you have to know, like, whatever game you play, just understand the rules and know when you step out of bounds, whether you agree with the rules or not.
Yeah, real shit.
But that's what I tell my kids all the
They
time.
need to hear that one too. Yeah, I'm gonna have a balloon. Alright, listen, I hear that jump.
But
That's it.
The coin jump.
Yeah.
but
Another current event, man. I want to get into that jump. You said Al Sharpton, man. How you feel about it coming out documents that Al Sharpton's actually a confidential informant?
that's always been out there though. Like I said, now you got paperwork on the thing, I guess, it makes it different, but everybody's always kind of.
They thought it, but now they know.
Well, it was kind of like, the thing is, again, the way there was not as much opportunity for media. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, imagine the R. Kelly tape.
Now.
You see what I'm saying?
That nigga be fuck around days.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
It was like this on the ground.
but just understand how, like, that joint.
This has been 4K cinematic mode.
And as wicked as that was, that joint circulated on VHS. You understand what I'm saying? Imagine if they had somebody just had to upload that joint. You see what I'm saying? Like, that joint.
Fuck blurry too. You gotta understand that 4K cinematic.
So that's the thing, man. That's all the way the world is now, man. There's so much information and so many different sources to get information from. When back in the day, you just had 2 and 3.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And then there's always been brothers who've been, we call them just kind of enlightened brothers who around, you know, who always drop game and, you know what I'm saying, who always put people on game. Like I say, but the point is, and so if you were fortunate to listen to some of those leaders, like I say, I used to listen to Farrakhan back in the day. He used to always give a lot of information, man.
He banned right now too.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like I said, like there's everybody he's always been perceived as being anti-Semitic, but the thing is to be pro-black is to be anti-Semitic a lot of times in people's eyes. So if I speak about who I am and I love who I am, and if I tell you that there's something that's been done to me, then and I say you did it, then now they'll spin that into you being anti-Semitic a lot of times. And sometimes people say some things. The thing is, anti-Semitic is if you read the definition, it's a big definition, you know. And so there's anything you can say. If you say anything that might be kind of pointing toward the fact, like if you say anything that says that Jews have like the power in anything, that's anti-Semitic, you know. And so understanding that, like not being somebody who's ignorant and not understanding that initially, you might flippantly say that and not understanding the ramifications of that. But that's what Kanye learned, you know what I'm saying, making statements flippantly, not understanding how really impactful those things are going to be. You know, but then I think once he realized that how impactful they're going to be, now it's time for him to make his point. So, but the point is, the world that we exist in has so many boundaries now and so many out of bounds. But like I asked the question, do we think that should we have a council? Are we ready for a council to do the same thing that the Jewish council, whoever stood up and talked against Kyrie and said that he should do? Should we have a thing like that? Should we
For black
people? You know,
I want to, man. I feel like we in a place where we, at least what they show us and what you see at the bottom level is we've been manipulated to damn near never get to that point.
Yeah.
Like somebody had said, they feel like gangster music, the shit that you gonna have to fix from gangster music might take 100 years to fix.
Yeah.
I be thinking the same shit with like social media, not really 100 years, but I think at one point kids gonna be like, why get on Facebook? Why get on Instagram? Like they gonna get back to reality. Like it would be funner if I just rode my bike. You feel me? because you know Instagram is really new to us. We just started being able to DM like a couple years ago. People don't really realize that like Insta Snap Story only came out like a couple years ago.
But the thing is, there's kids who've been born into that's their only understanding.
But it gets old. That's what it's new to us. That's why we all own the shit. Like I said, we just got the DM, we just got the comment on pictures and all that shit.
But that's the thing. Every concept builds on each other. So like,
Yeah.
so just like game systems. You see what I'm saying? It's like, you know, do we think kids who play Nintendos are who we think are more jacked up? Kids who play Nintendos or kids who play games now? Because all the upgrades that's happened to, you see what I'm saying?
Damn, yeah.
So
How you think and talk.
So that's the thing is they all fucked up. It was all they all focused right here.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Instead of being focused around themselves.
Yeah.
And all this earth going on, nigga, right here in front of this box.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like, and that's why I say it's like no generation is that much different. It's just like if it wasn't video games, then it was the TV. You see what I'm saying? If it wasn't the TV, now it's social media. You know, TV raps and all that stuff, man, had us all dressed in the same. And you know what I'm saying? We were down south trying to dress like guys from New York. You know what I'm saying? Because they had the sweet style. So you like, okay, I'm gonna get some of that. I like Method Man. Method Man influenced a whole bunch of niggas with his the way he dressed, and like Tupac. Like everybody was getting influenced by somebody.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But now you guys have access to a million people. Now y'all just got influencers.
Yeah.
The fuck is your job? An influencer?
Yeah.
So what you influence? Just to, you know what I'm saying? But that's the thing.
A seller, really.
So that's the point. You see what I'm saying? So that's the thing is there's new ways to make money.
Damn manipulated.
Well, the thing is, it's just new ways to make money. And if somebody's willing to spend their time, their energy, and money for it, then like, give it to them. You know, give the people what they want. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what makes you smart, and the people who spend their time looking at you foolish.
Yeah, right.
You see what I'm saying? And so, like for me, that's why I love podcasts. I love what is this considered? Podcast or what is it considered?
This is definitely a podcast interview, but most podcasts are straight audio.
Well, I like interview like this because it's a real interview. It's about real. It's with real people, and it's about real things.
That's what I wanted to serve people on.
Right.
I love Future to death. I ain't even gonna speak on King Pluto. Yeah. I love, let's say, any rapper to death, but how many times you wanna hear this nigga say he from so and so? How many times you wanna hear this nigga say why he with this song be? How many times you wanna hear this nigga story when it's people that you walk by every day that help you with some shit before? Like I can relate to a nurse in more ways than I can relate to a rap nigga up 20 M's, the average person. Mm-hmm. You feel me? His life is totally different. He probably on 6 drugs at one time. You feel me? Like, you a nurse. Fuck you gonna relate to that. You a counselor. You can vibe with it, but fuck you really gonna get out of his feelings. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, man, there's like, and that's for me. All relationships are based upon mutual interest. Like I don't have a lot in common with everybody. I have something in common with most people I deal with, but it's not always a lot.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? It might just be partying is the only reason why I deal with them. You see what I'm saying? So that's why for me, part of what I tell people, what makes me, the great thing about me is the bad thing about me. So I'm at times not organized, but that disorganization is what allows me to be open to dealing with different types of people. You understand? If I was so focused and like this and rigid about things, then I'd be rigid in who I want in my space because I need my space and my things to be a certain type of way. But because I'm not, it allows me to deal with different types of personalities without being focused and just accept life. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Where somebody else like, oh man, he ain't talking about nothing. I can be like, no, he's not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's the thing is some people get a lot more, I said some people are a lot more intense about how they approach people in the world. But my thing is, the average person I sit down with is you just gonna analyze in the first few seconds, what does this person want? Why are they here? Sometimes people just want some attention.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the thing, man. It don't cost nothing to give nobody no attention.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people are in need of, but don't even know how to ask for.
Yeah.
And so, when you understand that about reality, there's a certain amount of responsibility that you have. Like, my thing is, I know that people don't like to open up a lot of times. People don't like to talk, but you can see the fact that somebody needs to talk on their face.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, a lot of times, if you make it easy for them, which sometimes it's funny, it's like, say, in order to make people talk, sometimes you tell them about something you're going through.
Yeah.
And that person feel comfortable being able to talk, but the whole time, the premise is for them to talk. But nobody wants to feel like they're a burden.
Yeah.
So you become, I guess, the burden.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And break the ice.
Yeah.
But that's just something that, if you care, you can choose to do at times. Or there's just all kinds of different techniques into giving a damn. But the biggest point is to give a damn if you really want to.
Yeah.
But the average person don't.
Yeah.
And so that's when you realize that, that's when you start realizing that there's power in my job.
Yeah.
And what I choose to do for a living is that there's a need for it, but not everybody signs up for it. Kind of like a janitor.
Yeah.
Nobody wants, and that's the thing. That's the other thing about my position too, is a lot of times people don't want to be reminded when they were down. And a lot of times when I step in, I'm getting people at their worst. So when they're up, a lot of times they want to forget who I was to them, because then that has to remind them of when they were fucked up.
Yeah.
So that's what makes at times the job difficult, is to know that same person, if I know that I'll lift it up in some sort of way, is going to turn around and kind of shine the next time I see them, not in a way that's represents who I've been to them, but almost in not acknowledging that I was that to them. Don't nobody want to have to dip back to that ugly bag sometimes.
Yeah.
And I get that. But that's something, if you're going to help people, you got to understand, because you don't want to ever feel slighted. When you're immature, you're going to feel slighted. But then sometimes you gotta get past yourself and realize that person don't want to feel that feeling no more.
Yeah.
So
That's our ego.
yeah, it's definitely ego.
Yeah.
And that's humans.
I put that fuck nigga on. He acting like he that nigga. Yeah. Real shit.
And so
Hood version.
and niggas do. And sometimes people do get green with him.
But what you say, you gotta know that as a.
You gotta know that.
It's gonna be like that.
If you're gonna help, you gotta understand that about humanity. Don't go in there looking to get mad. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna help, just help because you want to help.
The concept I've been thinking about lately is how people, you build a motherfucker up so they can say fuck you.
Yep.
Basically.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like it's a lot of people got that problem building people up to say fuck them.
I tell you, I'm at the point now. I tell people, nigga, get to a place where you hate me so much that you go on with your life and say fuck you, nigga. That's what I really.
Good God.
That's like I want you to.
Some people though, you gotta say shit like that.
Some people got like real talk. Like if I can't get you to be self motivated, then maybe I can motivate you from another angle, that you just get so mad at me talking to you that you just like, I'm going on with my life, man. I'm tired of this nigga talking to me.
Yeah.
You understand? I'd rather that than you be comfortable around me and being a nothing.
Real shit.
See, I ain't never comfortable with nobody being a nothing.
Yeah, me neither.
So if I'm not comfortable with it, then I'm gonna have to get you from around me. You see what I'm saying? But I love people, so I don't want to get you from around me.
Oh no,
But
fuck
I will.
shit.
You know what I'm saying? But I will. So that's the hard part, man. Is, you know, and being willing to give people opportunity is a thing, but also being proficient at understanding who's deserving of opportunities and who's not.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself, give people opportunity who you know are just always going to renege and foul on the play.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. I'm proud of myself for not doing business with certain motherfuckers that I said never again. Never again.
Cause they are
I already know what you on. This ain't
habitual
gonna be
offenders,
right.
man.
Yeah, you're a habitual offender.
Straight up. So you learn that about folks, man. And so, you know.
Real shit, man. But yeah, bro. It's always great talking to you, bro.
Always, nephew. Like I said, man, congratulations on what you're doing, man. I'm proud of you and what you're building. In your personal life, on your business life. Like say, I watched you grow from being a young, she's not even a man, you was a teenager, to now being a young man, you know what I'm saying, holding it down and growing up. So keep on your quest, man, and just always pay honor to the people who contributed to you being who you are. Because none of us got to who we are, to where we are by ourselves.
Yeah.
So, like I say, I'm a manifestation of at least 5 men in my life, you know what I'm saying, that I can honestly say played a huge impact on half the things that I say to people. Like, I don't speak to people from what I learned in school. I speak to them purely from everything that I was taught from somebody around my way.
Yeah,
You know
ain't
what I'm
nobody telling you what MX plus YB equals square.
No, man. I just telling
What
people.
they got to do with life.
Nope. Biggest thing, man.
That's it.
And the biggest thing, man, real talk, is to live your life with love.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I remember that's the first thing that I was taught to say at the dinner table was God is love. You know what I'm saying? So for me, bro, live your life with love.
That's a hard concept for a lot of people to swallow. Like living with love. That shit hard action to do. But that shit make life way more easier. It make life worth living.
The thing is, it doesn't mean to be a fool because you love.
Right.
Those things don't have to go together.
Yeah.
But that's what a lot of people misinterpret about that.
Yeah.
You know, and love yourself first.
Yeah.
And right there, that stops all the dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can master that concept of loving yourself, then you can love others. But if you can't love yourself, it's gonna be hard for you to show certain types of love for other people. And that be the misconcept, is that most people have failed relationships because of their lack of love for themselves first, not because of what they fallen out of love with in their relationships and all that shit. A lot of times they have shit that they haven't conquered inside them. So conquer yourself so that you can love the universe like you deserve to love it, and like it deserves to be loved by you. Share your gift with the universe like you're doing. So anyways, Young G, proud of you.
Yeah, definitely, man. I want to get into one more thing when you went to relationships, bro.
Okay, come on with it then.
I know you got one of the most successful things in life you doing. How long you been married?
What was it, 2007? What's that? 16 years?
16
15,
years?
16 years, somewhere around
16 years?
Yeah. So.
Living in the same house as a woman. That's a milestone.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you do it?
Because I watched my parents do it for 53 years.
Yeah.
That was, for me, I've expected nothing but to be married for my whole life.
Yeah.
Like, marriage is part of the crown that's on my head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no achievement that means the most to my legacy. The person who I chose to create my legacy with is, for me, the crowning achievement. Because the thing is, like, I got a cool ass wife, like, real talk. She's a great ass human. Like, my wife is somebody who, if she wasn't my wife, she would still be somebody who I just want people to know around me to know her, because she's such a good person. But that's the key, man. Like, figure out what traits you want in a human, and find somebody. Like, for me, one of the biggest key traits for me and my woman is her fear of God. Is one of the biggest things that has saved my relationship. Because even when she feels cruddy, she respects her relationship with God so much that she's not gonna act on it but so much. So I don't have the fear of a lot of people, and it keeps me to a certain level of humility, knowing that I have a woman who has that level of relationship with God. So even when I'm not being a perfect man in my approach to life, it checks me when I get to raising my voice or I say anything or out the way or do anything, because I remember what is raising my children and who is raising my children. And I look at my children, I know that even if I'm not here, that my children will be successful. And for me, I'm thankful for my choice, and I'm thankful for the opportunity that God put in front of me. Because the thing is, we don't always take the opportunity that's put in front of us. Because, you know, sometimes that grass is always greener, you know? And sometimes we think we're missing out on something, man, but once once you find somebody who can, for me, is a decent woman and will ensure that my children have a fighting chance of life, man, it's not much more that I can really ask for from a woman in this world. And once I figured that out, it made it a lot easier. Like, what really am I searching for? You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you realize, like, all of our body parts start failing. You know what I'm saying? You start getting uglier. You know what I'm saying? All the shit start happening. And who you gonna grow ugly and broken with? That's what kind of matters. And so I realized I can get ugly and broken with her. And so that makes me, cause she, like I say, at the end of the day, we got the same shit at stake. So that's what keeps us together, bro. 15 years is fighting, it's loving, arguing, all that shit, but it's also doing the shit, doing something about it. One of the biggest things, like I shared the story, is me and my wife was into Disney World, and we was at each other's throat, and we had to get emergency counseling down in Florida to help us get through that, and it was the best decision we ever made. But a lot of times, if I didn't have a woman who was willing to put forth the energy to look it up, and I had to be the type of man who was willing to participate in the process, but it helped us because if we didn't go through that, I definitely wasn't going to change the way that I was approaching what was happening, and I don't think she was either. You understand? So for me, a willingness to be open with each other and honest with each other, man, is super key. And being willing to accept that we can't fix it. You know what I'm saying? We can't fix it. We need somebody else. We need a mechanic to come off in this motherfucker.
And how do you get past that thought of like counseling and marriage counseling? Because you know that's what kind of holds a lot of people back. Like, well, shit, if we can't fix it, what the fuck we doing together?
Because the thing is, right, and one of the biggest epiphanies I had was we go get our car maintenance at least once a year. We gotta go get that bitch inspected, right? And the purpose of that is to do what?
Make sure it's running correctly.
Okay. So why would we not do the same thing with our relationships? We will know our shit is raggedy as a motherfucker. You understand? But we'll never take it to a mechanic. But if your car's fucked up, you take it to a mechanic. If you got a cold, you go to the store and get some medicine. But a lot of times you have some mental problems, you won't go get no help for the shit. You understand? Like, we have to be better about acknowledging the different aspects of mental health and how they play into our relationships. Like, to me, it's mental health when you and your wife keep having the same argument over and over and over and over and ain't fixing the shit. That's mental health at some point in time. We both participating in this stupid ass illogical shit. So what we gonna do about it? Keep participating in the shit? That's crazy to me. So as I've gotten older, I say, well, fuck it. We're gonna take it to the mechanic and see if the mechanic can help fix this shit. And every time I've been to the mechanic, it has offered some sort of relief. At least another goddamn 200 miles, you know what I'm saying? Shit, they come back next year, nigga, you know what I'm saying? We might be, you know what I'm saying, struggling. Again. But that relief happened when I went to the mechanic. You see what I'm saying? Now, the thing is, sometimes we got so many skeletons and so much dirt up on our nails, we don't want everybody looking at our dirty drawers. And that's why people be scared to go to the counselors, because they're scared that some shit gonna come out that they don't want to come out. But the point is, that person don't give a damn about you. That person just wants to help y'all navigate the situation, so there's no judgment. You see what I'm saying? That person don't care. He just wants to help you work it out. Okay, so this is what you saying? Okay, this is what you saying? Okay, well, let's see about what we can do as a team to come to an understanding. But that person don't care, like, oh, you for real? That's what you said? He did that? No, that's what your homeboys and that's what your homegirls do. That's the difference. That person is pure information for you. So if you got some dirt that you've been through, maybe it can get addressed with somebody whose goal is to keep you together. You understand what I'm saying? So He like to say, man, but every situation different. But I say before I let something go all the way to hell, why not try something that's out there to help you? And that's with anything in life, you know. I believe in trying, exhausting all my avenues before I decide to cut and run. Because then once you cut and run, like with Dion, right? He can come back, but you think it's gonna be the same energy that he had just as he was here now? It's not. There's gonna be a lack of trust. You see what I'm saying? It's gonna be like, so when you gonna leave again, right? So that's the thing, man. Like I said, you gotta, just like I said, put the energy into to building what you have, but be willing to get help for it. And if it don't help, the help don't work, then shit, it's time to get a new car, right? Ain't that how it happen when you take it to the mechanic? Like shit, you can't fix it. It's total loss. You know what I'm saying? Ain't that who we send it to when you get your car checked? You know, like yeah, bruh.
Second opinion.
You gotta get that second opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes your family, they too biased. You can't get that information. You can't tell your mama some of the stuff your mama said to you. And she can't tell her family some of the stuff you done did to her. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Then go back, then y'all back together, and then you asking them for advice on y'all relationship. You know how much skewed information you gonna get from all sides on that? So have somebody who gonna give a damn. Like, nigga, I don't know, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you did what to her? Ooh, that's some juicy stuff. But that's as deep as it's gonna get. But anyway, that's about it, bro. So that's how it works.
Well, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. Firm handshake.
Always,
Thank you so much.
always,
man.
young brother. Always.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate your opinion, your story, and everything you got to offer to this world so much, man. Thank you. Another episode wrapped up. Part 2 coming.
Appreciate